Okay, so probably for the like next week or a bit maybe, I'm gonna be working on Heidi. Uh, I already worked on her quite a bit and then took a massive break. That's why Heidi was always just like remaining on my screen or my character select screen because I hadn't give up on the project even though I sunk a bunch of work into it. I also kept moving the goalpost on myself, so I did sort of like succeed in separating her dress from like her mouth because. Heidi shares colors with herself like crazy. Like her mouth and her dress are the same color. So like if I wanted to change the dress in any sprite, it would change her mouth color too, which can't have that. But then I also wanted to change these like sleeves of the undershirt, but I can't do that without editing her flesh and making her flesh unique colors because the undershirt shares colors of her flesh. Like this brown that's on the bottom of her arm is like the same color as her undershirt. So like I can't change the undershirt without all her arms lighting up. Like if I turned it blue, her arm would turn blue. Can't have that. Also, if I'm gonna do anything with her flesh, uh, see this helper here, or like this other character. I think his name's Peter. Um, yeah, so like I have to like separate Heidi so like I can change her colors without the helpers also changing their flesh colors. Don't expect this yellow and blue to be necessarily how we're gonna end up with a palette because I don't know, the yellow looks kind of, it's nice for spotting like pixels missing. But also Peter's pouch here, like the first time he appears here in like 120, like his pouch is like a different color than his leg patch. But pretty much every other time he appeared, his leg patch and the pouch shared the same color. So I was like, okay, so what's the deal with that? So I went and looked up art from Heidi, and his pouch is more of a grayish than his leg patch. So I changed all the pouches to be more gray, and the next times they appear, so I repainted them all gray. Also, there's tons of places where like Heidi is missing her eyebrows or her eyes are messed up. So I want to sit there and like make some passes touching up her eyeballs. I can't even remember which ones I've worked on yet or not. But so yeah, that's another thing that I'm gonna have to make sure go do a couple passes on that. Now this is like one of the old ones when I haven't messed with her eyeballs. Like you can see like if you look closely, these like gray spots, gray spots, gray spots on her forehead, and they look really bad if you change the palette. So I had to fill those in. I think they're just an image error to begin with. I don't think they were ever supposed to be there. But yeah, like I think back at the beginning, you can already see like one where I patched them out, so it looks better or fine without it like that. And there's plenty of frames where Heidi is just straight up missing eyebrows or her eyes are just straight like mangled. So I like wanted to patch those out too. I still have quite a ways to go, so it's probably gonna be weak a bit. I wanted to show you like a group 400 here. Get back to 400. There's so much about the Heidi sprites that reek of an unfinished product. I think Dion probably intended more with Heidi and probably just gave up at some point, probably from the workload. But if we look at like Sprite 401 here, you can tell he hasn't worked on this sprite as much as he's worked on others. There's tons of things wrong with it. We got like browns hovering on our dress here on the edge, like poking out like straight pixels here. And most of these hats are a garbled mess. Yeah, like, so I am. Come back, Heidi. Yeah, like I'll have to give special attention to this group because it is really mangled. There's like brown. There's just a bunch of colors are in the wrong place, like grays over here on her ear. Yeah, it needs some serious cleanup. So yeah, this is mainly what I'm going to be doing for like the next week or so. The real goal is not to do Dion Heidi, but Gugu64 Heidi, since that's the one people like, I guess. Unfortunately, if I try to load Gugu64 Heidi into this version of Fighter Factory, it just crashes. I tried to figure out what's causing the crash, but it seems like the answer is probably something in the SFF file. Because if I try to load like the SSF or the SFF file, the sprite file, like individual of, yeah, like if I try to go here to sprites and then open for like the Gugu64 Heidi, that'll still just make it crash. Whereas I can open sprites from another character and it'll be just fine. My guess is there's a sprite. Sometimes when you save a sprite, like you'll see like the original sprite's name when you save it to your computer. Like, for example, let's just say that said like Heidi Jump or something was what the sprite, he loaded the sprite's name into there. That's not what it is. I'm just saying. I'm guessing that since Dion is clearly a, probably looks like Japanese and not like Chinese, but who knows, creator, or maybe even Gugu64 is, that he named one of the sprites with Japanese characters, and this version of Fighter Factory just cannot handle that and just dies if you try to load a sprite with a different character name. That's my guess. I have no idea. I'm probably going to try to get a couple more versions of Fighter Factory, trying to get into Gugu64 Heidi myself. I really don't want to have to request somebody's help because that will be kind of just tedious, and also they'll probably realize it's quite a workload even doing my like uploading the sprites into Gugu64 Heidi on their end. So yeah, they'd have to give me the sprites. I'd have to edit the sprites again to make sure they match, or because there's a couple unique sprites I noticed in Gugu64's Heidi, like this one with the birds doesn't exist in Gugu64 Heidi. He like edited all the birds out. So yeah, at the very least, I would have to go to Gugu64's version of the sprite and then like reapply all the palettes and all the changes I made to Heidi. And then so for the other, and then like ideally switch it back to that other person who would be helping me. So that one would be like synced now. So yeah, so at the very least, if I can't get it working on my own, somebody would have to sit there and like re-upload all the sprites into Gugu64's Heidi and then reapply the palettes, which like I, if somebody wants to volunteer for that, great, but I would really like to find a Fighter Factory that works on Windows 11 and can open Heidi without crashing. That'd be nice, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's kind of a shame if I can't get into Gugu64 Heidi because I know that's the one that Tong Long likes. Um, Hell, I was thinking of maybe even taking a crack at 10-pin Heidi because 10-pin Heidi is a really a mangled mess, but I don't know. Maybe I should stop like putting this giant workload on myself. I think once I get my like hours in, I usually put like 6 or more hours in on Mugen stuff a day. I might like throw in a can I beat Mugen with episode in and upload that while I'm still working on Heidi because this could be a bit. Um, Also, I'll still take requests. I'll stop this Heidi, what I'm doing with Heidi, and I'll take requests if somebody wants to request something. I was thinking of making a video saying that if you request something from the Mario area of Mugen Archive, I'll probably just do that because I have a soft spot for Mario stuff. So yeah, that's all with this. I'll be working on this for a bit.